Hey guys, welcome back to Pastry Playhouse. I'm your boy ATL's Cake King Trent Moyer, and this week we caked up something super dope. This week I caked up a realistic hermit crab cake. I'm a huge animal lover. I've been all my life. I've grown up with multiple dogs, reptiles. I haven't had any birds, but pretty soon I probably might have some birds at some point. A friend of mine always had a bunch of like little hermit crabs growing up. I was always like, what is that inside the shell? Like how does that look like inside the actual shell of the hermit crab? So with making the mold for the first time, I actually had to do a whole lot of trial and error, because the first time I made it, it came out pretty cool, but I couldn't get out of the container. Then I had to learn through watching other people doing the same thing, and I had to spray the mold, and then when I sprayed the mold, it kind of stained the container that I had it in, and I ruined like 4 or 5 bowls doing this. By like the 8th, 9th time of me trying to make this mold for the shell, it finally came out how I needed to do without destroying everything in the process. I actually had enough problems with just trying to sculpt the face. When I tell you guys, I made this face like 7 times, because every time I made it, it didn't look right. Me being a bit of a perfectionist, it kind of just made this process a whole lot worse than it needed to be. Once I actually had the mold finally done and finally out of its old container, I was able to go ahead and fill it up with some white chocolate, because white chocolate was going to hold the actual shape of the shell and pick up all the details which was actually in the shell that helps give it like a realistic look. So if you guys ever decide to recreate this cake on your own, please use a lot of pan spray to go ahead and make sure nothing sticks and it doesn't ruin any of your containers like it did mine. When I tell you, once I had the chocolate all nice and frozen inside the fridge and everything, and I took it out to unmold it to actually see how the shell came out, that was the utmost gut-wrenching part, because I was so scared that I'm like, oh man, if I take this out and it doesn't look right and I had to restart this process, I was gonna rip my hair out at that point in time, because I done went through maybe like 4 different like molding containers, and not only just the molding containers, like the actual stuff to make the mold, and it's getting expensive. Like it was like $20 per container. So now it's time for the moment of truth, and I finally get it out, and I actually get to see how the shell came out, and I was like, yo, this came out a lot better than I expected. Like it had all the dope grooves and everything like that, and I was like, all right, cool, like we have that part done. My next hurdle that I was trying to do was actually having the sculpture fit inside the shell. Yet again, I had to redo the sculpture a couple times, because I either made it way too big or way too small. Getting it to fit somewhat correctly in the shell was a task in of itself. So I got super excited when I was actually sculpting the face of it, because the face kind of made it like real. I'm just like, okay, this is actually looking like animalistic. It's not just like a blob of modeling chocolate looking like some sort of weird alien. So the cool thing is, my sister is actually a marine biologist, so she's always showing me all these dope marine life that she gets to deal with on a daily. This is kind of like my little ode to her, because like she inspires me to kind of keep going and just really chase my dreams, because she be all over the world, from East Coast to West Coast to everywhere, just doing what she loves to do. But whenever I'm like, oh man, I really don't feel like doing these cakes or doing something this week, I'm just like, she's out here doing it, so I'm like, she could do it, I gotta go ahead and do it. So creating not only the face but the legs and everything was a little bit more on the difficult side, because like once I had the legs in, then it was just like, okay, nah, these legs separated. When I tell you, I made this cake like 5-6 times over and over again, because it just wasn't coming out right. So once I finally had the shape of everything, it's inside the shell, now I get to go ahead and start painting. And the painting was by far the easiest. Typically it's my hardest, and I was so glad, because I really couldn't deal with any more headaches. And the thing that really tied it all together in my eyes was adding the actual eyeballs, adding the blackness of the eyes. I actually was like, okay, this is actually looking like an animal that I know. Honestly, the show came out amazing, like even with the nice colors that I used for that, because it wasn't too loud, it was just nice and neutral, and just gave it like a very earthy and realistic look. And that's it, guys. That's how I went ahead and made this realistic hermit crab cake. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with all your friends. Until next time, guys, stay creative.